Okay, we're going to look at the early 60s, Kennedy administration, as far as the Cold War goes. Okay, last thing we left off with, U-2 incident. Just when things were starting to get better, this happens. Okay, tensions are at the highest level when President Kennedy comes in the 1960 election, and we'll see three major incidents or events during the Kennedy administration that are huge Cold War events. Okay, so President Kennedy comes in with the idea that we need to be flexible. Okay, we can't put all of our eggs in one basket. We can't just be like, you mess with us, we nuke you. Okay, that doesn't work. He does increase military spending with the goal that if you want to take us on the ground level, we'll take you. If you want to take us on a nuclear level, we'll take you. But we really have options. We have this flexible response. So armed forces, non-nuclear forces, special forces, and increased nukes as well. Okay. Now, the first issue that happens right away when Kennedy is in office. Okay. Castro, the revolutionary leader in Cuba, Cuba has a communist revolution. Okay, well, when they do this, they seize U.S. properties, they cut off diplomatic or foreign relation with the United States. 10% of the Cuban population goes into exile. Okay, they flee. They're like, I don't want to be communist. I'm getting out of here. Most of these exiles go to the United States, particularly southern Florida. All right, I mean, Miami today has a very strong, vibrant, large Cuban population because of this. Okay, now we don't want communism 90 miles away from the United States. So when Kennedy comes to office, the first event is this failed invasion at the Bay of Pigs. All right, in Cuba. Okay, so what we do is we take these exiles, they're Cubans, we train them. Our CIA trains them to then go in and invade Cuba and overthrow Castro. Okay, so we want to make it look like they are doing it, not us. Okay, so what happens is they go in, the plans go horribly wrong. Okay, a lot of these exiles that we trained are killed, made prisoner. They take them hostage. We have to pay off money and food and medicine, and we look like a complete failure. Okay, so this is this Bay of Pigs, and this is right away, a couple months after Kennedy becomes president. All right, now Kennedy has a choice. All right, what Eisenhower did with the U-2 thing is he comes out and denies it. No, the United States, we don't spy on people. No, this is okay. Kennedy takes the opposite route. Okay, he says, yep, we did it. I authorized it, even though he didn't really want to authorize it. Give me the blame. Okay, and he has this quote: "Victory has 100 fathers, but defeat is an orphan." You know, when the United States is doing well and we're doing good, everyone says, "Yeah, go United States, USA, USA, woo!" But when we're doing not so good, like this, people try to distance themselves. And Kennedy comes out and says, "You know what? We're the United States. Good, bad, indifferent. This is who we are." Okay, and really increases his public support by doing this. Okay, so. There's Florida. Okay, you can see the Bay of Pigs down here. So failed invasion and just increasing the problems with Cuba. All right. The next issue. Okay, back to Germany. You look at here. These are people fleeing out of East Germany, East Berlin, and going into West Berlin. Okay. Hundreds of thousands of people trying to get out. Now you think about what type of people would try to get out. Okay, it's the people that don't want communism. They want to be able to work hard, make money, have freedoms, be able to vote, democracy, and it's a lot of the best and brightest. Okay, you think if we had 2 U.S. history classes and we had, okay, Mr. Kwame, if you take Mr. Kwame, you're going to get a C. If you take Mr. Flynn, you can get an A, B, C, whatever you want to work for. the tendency that would happen is that a lot of the kids who maybe are a little lazy, don't want to work, would go into the class, Mr. Kwame, and just say, okay, I'll take my C. But the kids that are going to want to work hard are all going to try to come over to Mr. Flynn's class. This is what's happening in Germany. So 20% of the population is fleeing, and this is the economic drain on the East. It's their smartest, their best, their brightest are leaving East Berlin. Okay? And Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviet Union, says, okay, we got to close off access. All right, close roads like the Berlin blockade. And Kennedy says, you ain't doing that. Don't even try. Okay. So what he does is takes it up a notch. He builds an actual wall around West Berlin, called the Berlin Wall, to keep East Germans, okay, Eastern Berliners, from fleeing to West Berlin. Okay, literally a wall around the city. Okay, and I'll show you some maps here. Okay, barbed wire fences. Okay, you know, armed guards in the towers. I mean, it's I mean, literally around the whole city. Okay. So remember, East Germany is in the white here. This is all communist owned. Okay, East Berlin is communist owned. So this wall is drawn right around, okay, West Berlin. It's actually in the East Berlin territory, okay, but it's keeping people, East Germans, from escaping into West Berlin. Okay, he wants to keep people from going there. Now, again, you think about what is this showing about communism, that people are fleeing and the best and brightest? Well, obviously, it's showing that communism isn't the best idea. And Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviet Union, tries to put a stop to this. Okay, and this wall is going to be in place for almost 30 years. Okay, I mean, within my lifetime, it came down. I mean, I remember when it came down. I actually have a little piece of the Berlin Wall I can show you in class. All right. So, you know, if we had a Beloit wall, you think about if they drew this wall, okay, or made this wall. You know, here's the high school. If you lived here, okay, if your mom lives over here, too bad. Your grandma lives over here, too bad. Your best friend lives over here, too bad. Your girlfriend, boyfriend, Walmart, sorry. Really tries to isolate and keep the two sides from mixing, and is pretty successful at it. The last thing is back to Cuba. Okay, so you have Khrushchev, the Soviet leader, Kennedy, United States president, and Fidel Castro. All right, that means hello. The leader, president of communist Cuba. All right. Now, Cuba's getting tons of military aid from the Soviet Union. I mean, this is awesome for the Soviet Union. They say, heck yeah, we got a communist country 90 miles away from the United States. We are going to give them anything they want: food, money, weapons, nuclear weapons. All right, well, this isn't going to fly with the United States. All right, Kennedy says, you know, we're not going to put up with having these nuclear weapons 90 miles away from Florida. Spy planes go over the top, and they see nuclear launch bases with missiles aimed north to us in Cuba. All right, this is a problem. All right, before, you know, it's, yeah, the Soviet Union has missiles, but they're like 5,000 miles away. By the time they got over here, we'd see them, we'd take them down. No, 90 miles. Okay, 90 miles away from the United States. That's a problem. Okay, so you can see the missile bases. All right, the tents. You know, our spy planes are able to go over the top and see these. Now, this is declassified information. Here's where the missile bases were. And this is the range of the short range, medium range, and long range missiles. Can pretty much get anywhere in the United States now with a missile. This is scary. You know, talk to anyone who lived through this time period. This was freaked them out. I mean, this is going to be as close as the United States gets to a nuclear war because of this Cuban Missile Crisis. All right. So, what do we do? All right. Do we invade them? Do we bomb them? I mean, there's a lot of options, and we're going to look at this more tomorrow. Okay. We can do nothing. We can try to negotiate. We can invade them like we tried before. Blockade Cuba, bomb the missile bases, nuclear weapons. There's a lot of things on the table. All right. And what Kennedy's going to do? So he says, if Cuba messes with us, it's straight up World War III. We're dropping bombs, okay? We'll bomb the Soviet Union. We'll bomb anybody who's an ally. Remember, you got NATO, you got Warsaw Pact. Boom, it's on like Donkey Kong, okay? And the U.S. decides to put up a blockade. Now, what's a blockade? It's when you have the island and they put their Navy ships around the island and says, we're just going to kind of isolate Cuba, and anybody who tries to come in, we'll sink them, okay, to try to fix this problem. Well, so we're around Cuba, the Soviet ships are coming, and it's like a game of chicken. Here's us, here's them. Somebody's going to have to move, because if they get to us, we said we're going to shoot them. They said if we shoot them, they're going to bomb us. Somebody has to give, okay? So here's Cuba. You can see the blockade around Cuba. And the Soviet ships, now they're negotiating the whole time, the United States, Soviet Union, and everyone can see the Soviet ships are not turning around. The United States isn't pulling back. And the Soviet ships all of a sudden stop in the middle of the ocean and turn around, okay? And they come to an agreement. Khrushchev says the Soviets will take their missiles out of Turkey if the United States never invades Cuba again, which we haven't since then, and we remove our missiles from Turkey, okay? That's kind of the part a lot of times we don't talk about. We had missiles right next to the Soviet Union. So it's okay for us to have missiles right next to them, but they can't have missiles right next to us. I know, okay? So we had missiles right in here, okay? I mean, we had missiles right across the Black Sea, that could hit the Soviet Union. So they take their missiles out. If we take ours out of here, and we agree to never invade them, okay? So you can see this arm wrestling match. If we win, if they win, either way, we're all dead, okay? So the results, this is the closest the world has ever come to a nuclear war. I mean, literally the fingers are on the button. The Soviet Union loses prestige, or how people think of them as being this powerhouse for giving in to the United States. Kennedy is kind of criticized for this idea of brinksmanship, like you better back down or I'm going to bomb you, kind of using this this big kind of threat that is pretty big threat to say you're going to use nuclear wars. But ultimately, young president, early 40s, he's praised for keeping cool, for not bombing, for not invading, for his leadership in the situation. So that kind of wraps us up, and it goes back to this idea here. We have these bombs, but we're just negotiating, okay? And with Kennedy, it's all about the Bay of Pigs, the failed invasion, which we supported, okay? The putting up of the Berlin Wall, and then this Cuban Missile Crisis, okay? Those are the big three areas. If you have questions, let me know, and we'll talk about them tomorrow in class, okay?